For anybody who's a new fan who might not have followed me for a really long time, before joining Vshojo, I had left a very big group. One of the main reasons for me leaving, I've talked about it before, blah, 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 but basically a lot of people can make their own assumptions and that's up to them. I am not here to, but a big part of it that I talked about, this was my biggest everything, was I felt like I could not grow a community within the environment that I was in. And one of the main reasons for that was I felt that as soon as people kind of were open about being my fans, I felt, and based off what I had seen, that other members, maybe they were not real fans of that community, but other members of that group, of that community, would then kind of attack people for being my fans. And the reason I'm saying this, source, I saw it on TikTok. When people would cosplay me, they would get a lot of negative comments. If people were defending me on clips of me, they would get bad comments about being fans of me, about how I'm problematic and you shouldn't be a fan of me, which again, now everyone's like, oh, wait, that, she was just being her. We just didn't understand. So that was happening and I couldn't talk about it. I was not allowed to address it because I was in a group around other people and I was just not allowed to address it. Genuinely, I do not think addressing it would have changed anything. Genuinely, I don't think it would have changed. So I felt like I was never going to be able to grow my own little community. All I wanted was my own little space where I could thrive, my own little plot of land that I could harvest, my own little farm that I could just go to every night and farm and have a good time with my momos. And I felt like I could never, ever have that if I stayed. I felt like I was always going to be one bad joke away from getting canceled forever. And you can tell me, hey, you're crazy. That's not true. That would have never happened. But based off of everything that was happening, I felt that even when I kind of shifted into the good graces of the general audience, I was never fully accepted and I was never fully appreciated. So I was always kind of tolerated, which is why I took the really, really, really hard decision to leave. Things were not bad, but I still left. Even though no, things were bad, but I could handle them. And I also knew that by me leaving, meant that other people were going to get the hate that I was getting. Because typically, this is just from being online for so many years. If people bully one person and then that person disappears, their energy goes somewhere else. So I also understood that by me leaving, other people were then going to start getting bullied as well. Just so we're clear, okay, I use the word bully, but just so we're clear, I mean that the fandom was going to bully the streamers. Don't mistake this as any other thing, that the fandom was going to basically take the energy that they had with me with other streamers in that space. That's basically, I use the word bully, but it is, yeah. Yeah, good clarification just in case so people don't, but yeah, it's just the fandom was going to take the energy that they gave to me to somebody else. I really had a hard time making that decisions because it sucks to leave, and it sucks to leave a great group of lovely people. It sucks to leave a great everything. It sucks to leave lovely coworkers. It really sucks. The thing that kind of kept me going was I had a pal in that place, and seeing her community and the pal, Stinky Fairy, seeing what her community would do for her, their surprises for her, the memes, the gifts, the fan art, it made me feel I would like something like this. Wouldn't it be amazing if I also had a community that was allowed to openly express their like for me, right? Just to be clear, I want to make sure that you all understand, I still had fans, but my fans were just not allowed to be vocal about being my fans. Because the moment that my fans would kind of express that they were my fans, other fans in that fandom would shit on them all the time. And I just remember seeing that and thinking, I would love to have a community where people could just outwardly be like, I'm a big fan of Matara. I think Matara is awesome. I love Matara's fan art and I love the stuff that she does. And I understand that I left a really great thing and I wasn't sure if it was going to work out. Before I think right as I debuted in Vshojo, this is also where it's going to be really tough, the way I'm going to communicate. I'm sorry, I'm so emotional. When I first debuted in Vshojo, obviously, I was very happy and everything was great, but I received a really big stack of letters. And for a long time when I was leaving, I felt really guilty to leave. Because I felt like, am I being selfish to leave this group? I think need someone like me is a big word. Needing is a big word. Am I selfish for leaving this group that really genuinely benefits from having somebody like me in there? I add to the group. I felt really selfish in my desire to leave in order to create my own community. I felt that it was very selfish of me to ask that, even though other people had that without asking for it. And it was not selfish for, like, it's not selfish to want to have your own place in the world, but it felt selfish because I was used to not asking for anything. I was used to just putting up with whatever I have, and I was used to just not complaining. So it did for a while feel kind of selfish for me, even though now that I've gone to therapy, I don't believe it was selfish for me to want to have a place for my community to belong, okay? Just so we're clear, I received a lot of fan letters. I want to be very clear. I am so grateful for all the fan letters that I got. Every single person who took the time out of their day to send me a fan letter, you are incredible and you are amazing. About 80% of the fan letters were like, hi, I love your streams. I don't get to watch them much because I don't speak English, but you are so sweet. I love your model design. You are so sweet. You are so great. Thanks for your collabs with this person. Hey, I watched you do this collab one time. It was very nice. You made an impact on me. Thank you. Just so we are clear, I am so grateful for that. And I am never going to take that away. I keep those letters. I will keep those letters for as long as I can, for as long as I can still read them and remember them. But those letters made me cry because a lot of that kind of reinforced that idea of, even though these folks are fans and they're so sweet, they're not really my community. They're a part of a community that are fans of a community that I'm a part of, which is so fine and so valid, right? Like, obviously, there's a big Vshojo community that I'm a part of, and a lot of folks are fans of that. But for me, who really desperately wanted kind of my own space and my own place and my own everything, those letters just kind of reminded me. And there was still a good 20% where it really came from the diehard fans. But I did feel like 80% of the letters were from a more general fan, which, again, just so we're clear, I want to make sure this doesn't get taken out of context as like, I don't appreciate casual fans. That's not it at all. I wasn't selfish, even though I felt like it in the moment. It was not selfish of me to want to build a community that cares for me and maybe prioritizes me, even though it's really nice to be generally liked in a big fandom, or I guess in my case, generally tolerated in a big fandom. It's not the same. Having a small community that really cares for you and really loves you versus being tolerated in a large group is not at all the same. It is not at all the same. I really want to use the word tolerated. Genuinely. I really want to use the word tolerated because I do feel like to a broad portion of the audience, it was just until the next time I make a joke that they don't like and suddenly it's back to the pit. And just to be clear, if you were a fan of the core audience, I don't shame you for not being able to be more caring. I don't think you were in a space where you could have been more caring. I don't think you were in a place where you were allowed to show that you were a fan of me louder because you were going to get beaten down by the other members of the fan, unfortunately. I do still know that you loved me and I do still know that you cared and I do know that you did. But I just don't think that you were in a space that was like capable of letting you exist. I think after the 1 year, I made a decision that I will no longer talk about Hollywood. I still feel I'm one of the members that, I don't judge anybody who wants to talk about Hollywood. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think obviously I'm not trying to erase Hollywood as my resume. I am very grateful for the opportunities. I'm very grateful for the coworkers. But as the 1 year comes, I would like to no longer speak about it because I feel like now I've said everything I've had to say. I feel like with this right here, there is nothing more I have to say, right? I left because I felt tolerated by a large fandom. I felt that I was always one raunchy joke away from getting canceled. I felt really bad about leaving for a really long time. This community right here and all this everything and meeting you and seeing you just kind of reminds me that I need to prioritize me. And when I'm able to prioritize me, I will then be a better content creator, a better coworker, right? To the Vshojo girls. When I'm happy, I'm a better coworker. I'm a better friend. I'm a better businesswoman. I'm a better streamer. I'm a better, alien. I really feel like this helped me wrap kind of the end of everything. I no longer feel that I was selfish for leaving. I feel that everybody deserves to build a community that loves them for them and not just tolerates them as being part of a bigger group.